In this video, we're going to be looking at the force of gravity. We're going to look at what gravity is, as well as what mass and weight are. Now, mass and weight are words that are used interchangeably in society. However, in science, they have very different meanings, and we'll look at those shortly. So gravity is a force that occurs between two objects, and that force pulls them together. It's a non-contact force. The strength of that force is related to how big the objects are and how far apart the objects are. So this means there's actually gravity between all objects. So between you and the person sitting next to you, for example, there is a force of gravity. However, this force of gravity can't be measured. It's that small that it can't be measured. What we can measure is the force of really big things like planets pulling on us. So we can measure the force of the gravity between us and the Earth, for example. Mass is the amount of matter that is in an object, and it's measured in kilograms. So how big an object is will affect its mass. Bigger objects having more mass. Now, when we use weight, the word weight usually, what we're actually referring to is mass. Weight is the force of gravity pulling on an object that has mass. So this is, as I said before, a non-contact force, and weight is measured in newtons because it's a force. So how do these two things relate to each other? So mass is fixed by the size of the object. So how big an object is and how much matter it has will determine its mass, and that won't change depending on where it is. While weight will change depending on the gravity of the planet that you're on. So, for example, when astronauts go to the moon, they have the same mass because the size of them doesn't change. In fact, they have more mass because they're wearing a heavy space suit. However, they weigh less because the force of gravity acting on the mass on the moon, because the moon is smaller, is different to that on Earth. Which means that in space, the astronauts can jump about 3 times as high as they would be able to jump on the ground because there's less gravity and they have less weight. Okay, so in this video we've looked at gravity, what gravity is, which is a non-contact force between two objects. What mass is, remembering mass is measured in kilograms and doesn't change. And what weight is, and weight is measured in newtons and does change depending on gravity.